Hey, welcome to Kauffman Writes. I'm Kauffman, and today we're going to answer some creative writing questions and get a little writing in ourselves. Now, I know I had posted my writing that I will be working on today. I'm still working on a short story called The Last Scarecrow, but it's going to involve some ghostly characters. That's where we started going yesterday. But first, before I hop into your questions, one of the reasons I started this live stream, two reasons. One, I challenged myself to start writing consistently 30 minutes a day, every day for 1 year. So I started that I made that commitment at the end of December. I'm now 24 days in out of 366. I've come up with about 5 or 6 short stories. So I've had some success before. I really wanted to improve my consistency. And then the second reason that I started this, I wanted to help you improve your consistency. I've worked with so many creative writers and all different styles of writers in the past 10 years, just from working with clients as a ghostwriter or working side by side with writers in different writers groups. And that's not even including all of my time throughout my previous college years. And one of the biggest problems I've seen from creative writers and generally writers in general is the problem to A, be consistent, and B, keep yourself accountable. So I figured if I'm doing it every day, I have to be held accountable just by you since I'll be here. You're more than welcome to join me if that helps. All right. So let's hop right into my first segment. Your creative writing questions answered. And if you're hopping in the stream, feel free to drop a comment. Feel free to drop a question in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer that writing question for you. All of the questions that I've pulled today, I actually just picked from popular social media feeds. So I've seen these are questions that real people have asked, real writers today. All right, so let's hop right into the first question. Question number 1. If you work full time or a family, I'm going to assume that says, or have a family and interests, where do you find time to write? You know, that's a great question because I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably have varying commitments, whether that's different responsibilities, family, work, family, projects, you name it. And I'm sure you have different things going on in your life. So the question is, how do you create a writing schedule? How do you create a writing pattern when you're really busy? Now, I can relate with this because I was doing probably easily like 70, 80-hour work weeks back when I was in Los Angeles because I was trying to balance doing different jobs. I was doing my day job with Starbucks, and then I was doing my secondary job as a freelancer. And then I had to make additional money with some other freelance gigs and ride sharing. Now, after 70 hours a week, how did I find time to write for myself? Let me tell you, it was difficult. There were some months where I was wildly unsuccessful. And then there were other months where I would just get really into it and I'd be writing all the time and I'd be coming out with great stuff. But the problem was I was inconsistent. So when you're really busy, part of the challenge, and this is going to be similar to any other area in your life, right? Health, fitness, social life, all those things. It just comes down to creating a consistent habit, something that you can do just frequently enough so that way you're still writing and still creating what you want to do. If right now you're not writing anything at all, but you want to get to a point where you're like, okay, I want to be able to write a little bit sometimes, I'd suggest make it easy and do like write maybe a couple times a week. Now, don't set lofty goals for yourself. If you set a really big goal of you're like, all right, I need to write this story. The story needs to be done in 6 months or else it's the end of the world. Start easy for yourself. Be like, all right, I'm going to write three times this week and I'll start with like 20 minutes a piece. Like that's really easy. The goal with any type of habit is make it as easy as possible. And then if you start doing more, that's great. Like that's the strategy. That's the solution right there. And I can even speak to that with this writing challenge that I made for myself this year. I started with this short story. It was actually a free write, The Last Scarecrow, which I'll be getting to shortly. I started with it. It was like a 2 to 3 page short story. And then after more of these consistent, like, 30 minutes a day, I've started getting more and more into it, and now it's at a point where I know it's going to become a feature-length novel with how much I've fleshed out for it. And sometimes there's times where I, like, only write for 30 minutes a day. Other times I start pushing an hour and a half, and even 2 hours because I'm just getting so into the story. And I can tell that the further I get in, the more compelled I'm going to be to get all the way to the end of it because I wanna tell the whole story. The characters have more to tell. Alright, so, let's say I hope that answered that question. Right along to question number 2. How do you make an outline for a short story? I would say I'd use a similar outlining approach, whether you're doing a short story or a novel or even a script. Now, the difference is the number of individual beats that you're going to add to it, the number of story beats is going to change based on based on just the length and how much is going to go into the overall story. What I would do is I'm all about the characters. I am a huge proponent of outline your story around the characters and the story you want to tell. Now, if you're the type of writer who you're like, I have an idea, I just want to go into it, like, great. That works out for a lot of writers out there. But if you are like, I need to outline this is what I suggest. First off, who is your protagonist? Who's the hero? Whose story is this? Start off with their beginning moment and their ending moment. And then once you have the beginning and the ending, you can start to fill in the plot points throughout. So once you have their beginning and their ending, then what's the middle moment, right? So what part of their journey is going to be halfway between the beginning and the end? Once you do that, now you have 3 solid points that you can hit: beginning, middle, and end. Now you can continue to flesh that out, but I generally suggest doing those 3 bullet points as you're starting. Now, for the beginning moment and the ending moment, you can even give a little more description, being like, all right, in the beginning, this character started out with, like, Joe Schmo, and nothing in the world is working out right for him. In the end, Joe Schmo has saved the day. He's grown as a hero, and his community loves him. Halfway between that, Joe Schmo thought that he was saving the day, but he actually made everything worse, and he's screwed up everything. So you see the middle, the beginning, and the end are all in the overall story you want to tell. Then what you can do in addition to that, if you want to keep outlining, you can always add a few more points in between, right? You can always, I always suggest relying on the 3-act structure. If then you can start filling out more the points of, like, okay, how do they get from the A act to the B act? Because that would be about a third of the way through and about halfway between the starting point and the middle point. And then if you're using the 3-act structure, then you could add a 4th point to show, oh, how do I get from that middle point to the last point? Then suddenly you have 5 points. Now, usually if you're a new writer, I would suggest just stick to those 5 points for now and start writing the story. Start at the beginning if you're able to, and just see what comes. Or even sometimes, like, you might get really passionate and you might get an idea about something, and you're like, you know what? This, like, I have the scene in my mind, and, like, this is the scene I want to write. But the scene's actually probably, like, closer to the end. Write that scene, write what you're passionate about, and then you can go back to the beginning because you can always tie it in, but you're not always going to have that moment of inspiration that strikes organically. Trust your gut, trust that inspiration, and you'll definitely find some success that way. All right, so question number 2, and then let's hop right into question number 3. Help! I'm a new writer, and want to write great stories, but I never have good ideas. Dot dot dot. What should I do? If oh, I'm of the mindset that all people have great ideas. I know a lot of times, like, I've heard from individuals, from new writers before, that are like, "Oh, I never really have good ideas to tell a story," or, like, "I never know, like, what to write about." Think about what you're passionate about. Think about what your hobbies are. Better yet, actually, think about when, after you've had a long day, You're super tired, super exhausted. You go sit on the couch, go into your room, wherever you sit down and relax. What is the first thing you do? Do you go onto social media? Do you watch television? Do you scroll the web? Do you go onto Reddit? Do you read? Whatever that first thing is that you do, what's one of the things that you like as a hobby that you'll just do intrinsically. So let's say that you're the type of person of you'll go on social media, right? If you were to go into your social media feed, what are the types of things? What's the type of content that you're attracted to? Are you the type of person who, if you go onto Instagram, you're going to start seeing all these animal videos, jokes, or videos, pictures, jokes, I guess, reels? Would you start seeing jokes? Would you start seeing, or maybe you would start seeing more pictures about your family and about like family history and what like some of your family or friends are doing? Those are some things that you know for a fact interest you because you've been doing that for a long period of time. So if you're a new writer and you don't know what to write, you're like, oh, okay, maybe you actually really like animals and you could write a story about an animal. Or maybe you want to write about a story that you had in the past, like something that happened to you with your friends or your family. Maybe it's a story that you always like to tell at parties. You have great ideas. Believe in yourself. Now, it might not come out amazing. It might not come out incredible when you start writing it on the page, but that's all right. Don't worry. The goal, if you're a new writer, is just to write. Because once you start writing, you're so much further ahead than so many other people out there who sincerely struggle with writing. That's my suggestion. And then once you have that idea, go back, refer to question 2 for outlining. All right. So let's see. All right, perfect. So those were just a couple questions to help you out today. I'm going to move right along into the second segment. And just as a reminder, if you're hopping into the live or if you're here on the replay, feel free to post a comment or yeah, blah, tongue twister. Feel free to post a question down in the comments and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. All right. And now let's hop right into segment number 2 because it's time to write now. Now, let me add a little bit of music to give this a little bit more of a writing vibe. All right. We'll see how that comes out. Whenever I play the music, I don't always have the same volume that you might be hearing it. So that's why I always try to be like, all right, make sure that it's actually playing. Okay, perfect. So I hear that. Excellent. So as I said, it's time to write now. Now I'm going to hop right into my story that I'm working on. So, all right. So let's hop over to The Last Scarecrow. So as I said, I've been working on writing consistently 30 minutes a day, every day. So this is the story that I'm working on. It's called The Last Scarecrow. Now, instead of me going through the whole spiel of the story every single time, here's the pitch. This is a brief gist of what the story is about. The Last Scarecrow is a post-apocalyptic fairy tale. Pitch. When a crow steals the hat of a scarecrow, he comes to life and journeys across a post-apocalyptic land where humanity no longer exists. He searches for the very identity of his existence in a new world order where new creatures are coming to life. All right. And now, with my timer all set, this was the inspiration pick for this story. Now, I'm going to get the timer rolling and 30 minutes and go. All right. So let's see. I am right in... I want to say I'm in the middle of this chapter where they're exploring where the last scarecrow is exploring this destroyed city. Now, he ran into 2 characters. So to get myself into it, I need to back up a little bit. Most of this is relatively dialogue heavy because I introduced 2 new characters. So bear with me as I kind of recollect my thoughts on how I'm dealing with these characters. All right. The destroyed creator's home continued, and I'm going to blow this up just a little bit in case you want to read along. All right. The destroyed creator's home continued to go on and on. Continued to go on and on. Nothing changed. All there was in any direction was this ruin accompanied by the shiny red road, which appeared undamaged to the slightest. "Hey you!" a squeaky voice shouted. The last Scarecrow stopped and spun around to find the source of the voice, but nobody was there. "Yeah, you with the face!" a husky voice screamed. The last Scarecrow turned straight ahead, but there was nothing and/or nobody there. He stopped walking altogether and squinted as he began to peer around wearily. "Hey you!" the squeaky voice shouted again. I'm so sorry, I don't see you," the last Scarecrow stated, very much confused by this new pair of voices. By these new pair of voices. "Of course he can't see us." The squeaky voice started up again. "What do you think he is, smart or something?" the husky voice blurted out. "Look down!" Look up!" The last Scarecrow looked down at his feet, and then up at the sky, but he was now more confused than ever. "Oh, I get it now. You're playing a joke on me," the last Scarecrow said, trying to sound more cheerful so he could be in on the joke. He recalled how often his creators used to joke around. "You really don't see us?" the squeaky voice whispered. "I think he's playing the joke on us," the husky voice followed up. The last Scarecrow spun around in all directions, but still there was nothing in sight. Nothing was in sight. The voices seemed to be talking around him, as if they were coming from out of thin air. "Well, I don't know what type of game you're trying to play on me, but I can't see either of you, and I have to find my friend Mr. Crow." Oh. Hey, welcome. Thanks for hopping in. If you're coming into the live, feel free to drop a comment or drop a question in the comments if you have any creative writing questions you want answered. All right, and where we're at. I'm currently working on the last Scarecrow. All right. "Well, I don't know what type of game you're trying to play on me, but I can't see either of you, and I have to find my friend, Mr. Crow," the last Scarecrow stated in a huff, trying not to show his frustration. "Oh, the bird?" the squeaky voice questioned. "Of course he means the bird, dummy. What else is a crow supposed to be?" The husky voice shouted. There was a smacking sound, as if something had been hit. But try as he might to locate the source of these two voices, he was standing by himself in the middle of the shiny red road. The squeaky voice spoke up again. "I think he went that way." "No, he went that way." "Not in the bad direction," the voice shrieked. "Excuse me. As I previously stated, I still can't see either of you. But if you could tell me which direction my friend went, I will be right on my way." "Maybe we should show him," the squeaky voice whispered, their tone now dripping with dread. "Yeah, if you want to end up like the others, go for it," the husky voice stated gruffly. "Come on, we never leave a new city entrant in need." "City entrant?" the last Scarecrow questioned. "Yes, you're in New City. Welcome. Apologies for the mess. It's been a shaky couple of centuries," the squeaky voice said. The husky voice began laughing at the introduction. "Fine, let's go. What I put up with," it mumbled until its voice became inaudible. "Sorry, I know you can't see us. Still strange. I see us just fine. Oh well, another day, another cloud to rain on. You see that ruined house up ahead with the red door and the frame that used to be standing?" The last Scarecrow had no idea what any of those things were, but he did spot red amongst one of the piles of rubble up ahead. He took note of the descriptions, but chose not to say anything, as he didn't want to appear stupid. So he nodded. That's the direction. We'll follow along. I thought you were afraid of. Oh, shush. Beggars can't be choosers. The last Scarecrow recognized that quote to mean you could only deal with the hand you were given in life. It was one of Farmer John's favorites. He picked up his legs and continued down the road, while veering off to the right as he stepped off. Eventually, he began to wonder if he might have been abandoned already, until the gruff voice barked at him to turn past the house, which led to a nearly identical red street with nearly identical houses in ruins. So you see where I'm at now. So I've introduced these two ghost characters, and I ask myself, what direction do I want to take these characters in? And as a side note, if you're hopping into the stream or the replay, feel free to drop a question in the comments if you have any creative writing questions you want answered. All right, so right now he's actually lost Mr. Crow, so he needs to find what's happened to the crow. I haven't decided. I think what I'm going to do is the crow's probably going to be frightened and terrified by different things that are happening in the city. Essentially, the Scarecrow's come across this city, which has been destroyed for hundreds of years. Humans are dead, and it's essentially a ghost town. I'll throw that joke in somewhere. There's definitely the Scarecrow has a thing with with jokes. Mm. I'm asking myself, how would the Scarecrow, based off his demeanor, how would he respond in a situation like that? So far, he's generally been very, very kind and very caring. Mhm. It's funny. I'm writing this character, and I'm like, all right, so these are like kind of ghost characters that I'm writing, and I'm like, all right, well, in this world, a lot of these characters, they're forgetting their own names. I think that the challenge is with in a post-apocalyptic fairy tale world with most of humanity gone. Now you have these characters with this probably strange magic that's setting on the land, where characters are really forgetting their identity. Hey, welcome to Kauffman Live. If you're just joining, feel free to throw a question down in the comment if you need any comments answered or if you need any questions answered. I'm just working on the last Scarecrow right now. Fun little post-apocalyptic story. I'm going to reference earlier on. I wanted to double check what he had called the machines. Hey, thanks, sis. Thanks for checking it out. Working on the last Scarecrow now. I'm literally I think I was like partially into the story when I was over with you guys. Now I'm at 37 pages. I think I got a full story on my hands here. Hey, welcome to Kauffman Writes. If you're just joining on the live, feel free to drop a question in the comments if you need any creative writing questions answered. I'm just working on a short story, Last Scarecrow. Actually, with where he's at, it's interesting with where he's at right now. He's actually just coming to question his very identity. Hey, welcome. Thanks for hopping in over here. Let's see. Hey, what's up? Welcome, SK. Yeah, I remember you. You hopped in last week. Thanks for joining me. I'm literally just working on this. I'm working on a short creative writing story called The Last Scarecrow. It's kind of interesting. You know, it started out as a 2 to 3 page short write or a free write, and now it's a near 40 page story. I think it's going to be probably like a full feature length novel when I'm done with it. I would not have guessed that. Have you been working on anything creative or fun on your end? Yeah, thanks for asking. So it's a let's see, let me go up here. I came up with the cool pitch. So essentially it's called The Last Scarecrow. It's a post-apocalyptic fairy tale. In the pitch is essentially when a crow steals the hat of a scarecrow, he comes to life and journeys across a post-apocalyptic land where humanity no longer exists. He searches for the very identity of his existence in a new world order where new creatures are coming to life. As I keep defining and developing the story, I'm coming to create more and more like aspects of this world. And essentially it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic world. I'll throw myself up here. So it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic world where humanity died off years and years ago. And the Scarecrow is suddenly kind of coming to life, and he's coming into all these areas and realizing that more and more animals, or not just animals, but like creatures, are slowly either forgetting who they are or just coming to life as well. And he's kind of starting to explore this land as he's trying to understand his identity. When I started off with the free write, it actually started off with this is the picture. Like this was where I started. I'm like, okay, cute Scarecrow. But I realized I wanted to write like a post-apocalyptic kind of vibey world. I just thought it would be fun. And as the more that I've been going, the more characters and the more that it's been developing. And it's been pretty cool though. It's been good. I feel like I've been getting a little in it each day. And right now he's literally in a destroyed city of the creators is what he calls them. And it's been abandoned, but now he has these two like voiceless characters who are with him. Essentially they're probably going to be ghosts of some sort. I might make them something else. I haven't decided, but they don't know why they can't see each other, and they're forgetting who they are. And I'm kind of using them as points for helping the Scarecrow understand what more of the world, because his entire existence has taken place in a field. He's been traveling now with this crow. They became companions, and the crow is currently lost in the city. So that's what they're doing. And I thought of this cool moment. They're in this market where all these things, so there's a market, all these things start rising and coming to life. And then suddenly all like the different like fabrics and materials, like everything's destroyed obviously, but all these things are rising into the air and going to start like forming together to come together and form like this gigantic thing that looks like a ghost. So far in this story, everything that they've encountered has been very like what's the right word? I wouldn't say like horror-like, but just like post-apocalyptic. Like things are gone, but it's been very silent. This is the first time where like I'm having more action. Sweet. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm having a lot of fun putting the characters together. I'm like starting to ask myself, I'm like, what? I wanted the city. I thought about with where I'm going with this story. I want the city. I want it to be like a kind of a scary-ish experience for them, because this is really the first time that the last Scarecrow's encountering fear. He's never really encountered fear before, and I thought it would be interesting. I don't know how deadly I'm going to actually make the city, but I wanted to have this whole like I imagine it. Just everything about it is going to be very like thriller vibe. Have SK have you worked on any writing or anything creative? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've heard of Sri Lanka, but I'm not too familiar with the area at all. It's interesting that must mean that time frame wise, you're probably what I'm on Mountain Standard Time. I'm over in the States, but that means you're probably well like 8, 9 hours ahead, maybe even more. Maybe like yeah. I'm not sure. That's the time frames always mess me up. And definitely, if you have any like writing or any questions at all, definitely feel free to throw them in the comments. If for any of you that are joining right now, I've been like kind of going through comment or kind of answering questions, and I figured I'm throwing it out throughout the live stream. All right, perfect. So I think this is a good stopping point. All right. So let's see. So I made some really great progress today. So I want to say I made a definitely good chunk with my with the last Scarecrow. He's suddenly now dealing with ghosts and a tornado, and I think this tornado is going to become like a gigantic ghost of sorts. They're not going to actually be ghosts, but I definitely want the reader and viewer to think that he's dealing with ghosts and thriller and terror, and it's actually it's going to be very, very intentional. My goal with this city that they're encountering, both himself and Mr. Crow, is to subvert expectations. That is always fun. So if you join me today on the live stream, thank you for joining. Thank you for dropping any questions, and thank you for your time. If you're catching me now on the replay, feel free to post any questions in the comments. If you have any ideas, you like what you see, or if there's anything that you want to know, I am live streaming every single day because my goal is to write 30 minutes a day, every day for 1 year. Today is day 24. Success. I'm like 24, 366. So we're slowly getting there. But I feel confident that at the rate that I'm going now with the last Scarecrow, which started as a 2 to 3 page short story, or 2 to 3 page free write, which is now nearing 40 pages, it's probably going to be well over a 100-page feature-length novel. I can just tell from the plotting and the outlining that's the direction it's taking. So, yeah, thank you again for joining me. I'm going to end off this live stream, but I will be back tomorrow. My schedule is I will be back on at 8 p.m. tomorrow, Pacific Standard Time. So definitely feel free to join me. I posted my schedule on my YouTube channel and on my Facebook if you want to see what times I'll be on. Friday, Saturday, and I believe Sunday I'll be on in the afternoon. So let me know if those times work for you. And if you haven't already, feel free to like and or subscribe. So that way I know that, so that way you'll be notified when I go live next. All right. Once again, thank you for joining me. I'm Kauffman, and I'll catch you on the flip side.